All right, kiddies. Time to get serious. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Can anyone hear me? I dug out my old tablet, so I have a terrible mice, but a mice nonetheless. Are we mice or men, train guy? The internet is serious business. Okay, so link is in the chat pinned. So anyone brave enough to talk about science and stuff, make your way up. Hopefully Brown's boy will stop by since he's got some thoughts and feelings to share on the topic, but we can do it without him. We'll do it live. We're doing it live. Also, we need to hear the numbers crunched from legendary CEO because he's good at business and stuff. So. But yeah, I'll just chill here until there's a worthy opponent to finally settle the issue. Oh yeah, the topic is NASA. Are you for it or against it? And then we can also get into the evolution of NASA into SpaceX and whether or not Elon Musk is going to help us finally discover the Vulcans, and so that we can join the Federation and invent replicator and holodeck technology, according to that train guy. And so, if only we do research in space, then we can finally solve all human problems. And so, the technology's out there. We just need Black Science Man to help us get to the stars. And oh shit, here it comes. Can you wave on camera for me real quick? Okay, now you can go off.
I think.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
I am talking into my mic, I think.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you that train guy, 1, 2, 3, or a different train guy?
I'm the same train guy, yeah.
Okay. And you found your microphone. Congratulations. I
Yeah.
was worried that your cat ate all of your microphones.
Yeah, no, I had to go into my lounge and get an old tablet I had back from like primary school days.
That's the spirit, lad. Okay, we're all friends here, so I'm not going to be mean or anything or bully you or anything, but this is just for fun to see if what you think you believe is true. And I'll challenge your thoughts and see if you can defend them. Sound fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you clear on the topic? We are debating. First step is we're debating NASA and whether or not that was a worthwhile use of our time, and then
Yes.
we'll get into the SpaceX stuff and see if you have any particular feelings on that. In the meantime, feel free to present any dank memes you have. I'll just leave this one in the background, but if you have better memes about NASA or Elon and SpaceX and Martians or whatever, I'll be happy to present your views more than mine. But anyways, so you're taking the for NASA stance, correct?
Yeah, for NASA.
Okay, let's start there. So, are you currently worried about any space commies?
Funnily enough, no, I'm not. I think
Okay.
we're all worried about Russia, but I think that's about it.
I mean, you do remember that was the original intent and design of NASA, was to make sure we beat the space commies to the Star Wars.
Yeah.
And we don't want them like flying, satellites over our head and ICBMs over our clouds and everything. And so we were like, we got to get to space or else we're dead.
Yeah.
And
And
so that's
as it turns out, sorry.
Go ahead.
As
I
it,
was just saying we both
yeah.
agree that that's what NASA was created for originally.
Yeah.
So.
As it turns out, the only reason that they say the first man on the moon was so important was because the commies beat the US to everything else.
At everything else. I mean, they even got like dogs into space, and we couldn't even do that. Like, what's
Yeah.
up with us? So, I agree. It's all a big pissing contest to see, whose Cold War dick is bigger, and so they they were just stomping us at every turn, and then we finally won one little minor victory, and that was enough to keep the NASA train going for another 50 or 60 years. So again, like I said, it's just such heavy Kool-Aid drinking propaganda that it's just painful to watch. But anyways, let's get into the benefits of society. Now, are you going to go the ballpoint pen route, or do you feel like there's also, like cancer research or something that you can present as why we needed NASA to achieve those kinds of technologies?
Yeah. Well, it's like quantum computing. Quantum computing, it's a fairly new technology that they're starting to use a lot in NASA because it makes it easier for them to work out their calculations. But we wouldn't have invented it without NASA because we
So
wouldn't.
NASA invented quantum computing. Okay. Did NASA invent the transistor and CPUs and RAM and hard
Well,
disks and all that stuff?
that's a very difficult question to answer because the first computer was created by a guy called Alan Turing back in the 1940s to
Mm-hmm.
decipher German code.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority or a very large portion of computer upgrades and things like that to make computers what they are now was because of NASA.
Oh,
Like,
really? I thought it
yeah,
was like DARPA and like Earth-based computers like Texas Instruments and I can't remember the early Bell's Labs. I think Bell Labs was like early in the transistor phase and the capacitors or whatever and all that
yeah.
jazz. But I wasn't aware that NASA was heading up all of the Earth computer research and technology. That's neat.
Mm.
I'll have to
Well,
research that and see if that's true. But
it's like NASA. They created, I think, I'm pretty sure NASA created the first solid state drive by creating little rings and sending different currents through a bunch of little rings on this grid, and it's how they invented solid state.
mm.
Or at least I think it's the first proper form of it.
Let's just go to jplnasa.gov and see if that. Oh shoot! I thought they had a cool presentation, but they don't. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to present this. Never mind. I'll just read it. Camera phones, scratch resistant lenses, CAT scans, LEDs. Um, by the way, this website's complete shit. That's why it's hard for me to read because it keeps resetting. It's probably made by NASA.
Yeah.
CAT scans, LEDs, landmine removal. Because there's a lot of landmines in space, mind you. When you're out on the moon, you gotta sweep for landmines because those aliens are tricky little bastards.
Oh
Athletic
yeah.
shoes, foil blankets. We couldn't invent foil blankets without NASA. I'm pretty sure we had aluminum foil, and if you cut a large square out, that's a blanket. So again, you
Mm.
don't need NASA for that. Water purification systems. Again, we humans didn't know how to purify water until 1960 when NASA invented the technology of cleaning our water. See, this is what I'm talking about Kool-Aid drinking. Does that sound right to you, buddy? Let me check with you
No.
real quick. That's
As
their claim.
as much as I would like to say it does, I don't think that's true.
Okay. Dust busters, ear thermometers, home insulation. Because again,
Mm.
we build so many homes on the moon. That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Jaws of life, wireless headsets, memory foam, freeze dried food. Now, freeze dried food, I believe that because again, there's not a lot of application on Earth. Once you have refrigerators and stuff like that, but I can definitely see why that was a NASA thing. Adjustable smoke detectors. It sounds like they're not claiming smoke detectors, but just the adjustable ones because we didn't know how to adjust smoke detectors until Black Science Man showed up and told us that Star Trek will save us. Baby
Yeah.
formula. Why do you need baby formula in space? What NASA astronauts need to take baby formula? Are we having babies on the ISS? Like, what's going on here? I
See,
must not gotten that
that
memo.
does confuse me. That does confuse me. It's stuff like that. That
Artificial limbs, computer mouse, and then the portable computer. Again, I highly doubt that, but I can see why they made it way more portable because, like, obviously
yeah,
those room size computers don't jive on the ISS or, sending it to space and stuff. So,
yeah,
okay. So I'm not against, like catalysts to, R&D and inventions and research, but I am totally against selling propaganda bullshit to all of the taxpayers that we couldn't have done this without NASA. Like,
yeah,
NASA was our Lord and Savior that gave us all these wonderful technologies. It was sure when you're, again, my original point was when you're dumping trillions of dollars of taxpayers, hard earned cash into, some select group of people that pretend like we're doing Star Trek technology or something like that. It sounds good. It's like, yeah, great. Let's invent warp drives and faster than light travel, and let's get off of this rock and go find a planet full of intelligent people.
yeah,
And so it sounds good, but in reality, like I said, what do we have to show for it? And I just read you off the list of NASA accomplishments, which again, not only would we have done it a lot cheaper on Earth, it would be way more practical because I'm not sure why zero gravity helps the researchers, look up like baby formula, technology when
mm,
on Earth it's probably way easier and cheaper to research that, and so. Um, but yeah, so I agree that there were leaps in technology directly as the result of NASA. So I'm not, poo pooing on that.
yeah,
And again, I'm all for the accomplishment of mankind made it to the stars and we made it to the moon and we are able to build a station out in space and it floats around the earth and takes pictures of our beautiful planet.
mm,
I love all that stuff. And so I'm not
that,
poo pooing on that.
yeah. But the thing is, we wouldn't if NASA didn't exist. Phones like phone calls wouldn't exist. Things like the internet probably wouldn't exist, and TV wouldn't be as we knew it, or as we know it, because they all use satellite signal.
I imagine you're like watching the movie Spies Like Us or something like that, and you're remembering those scenes where like the MTV satellite got blown up or whatever. Yeah, okay, yeah, and the MTV logo where the spaceman lands on the planet and he's like, "I want my MTV." Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Good points. Good points. All good points. Go ahead.
yeah. I think no matter what you do, no matter what you spend money on, there's going to be pros and cons of it.
Yeah, and so that I'm the cons. So the cons are again, I understand the original, fear campaign that the commies were coming to nuke us, and so I'm not sure why we cared about whether or not they had like space shuttles and stuff. I mean, because again, they don't have the technology to like shoot laser beams or anything at us, so it's not like
Yeah,
we were worried about like the USS Enterprise showing up and like them launching proton torpedoes at the White House or something, but I understand why like the ICBMs was a big scare because
oh yeah,
obviously you want like potentially at least satellites with like like bullet capacity, like short range rocket launchers or whatever that could like take out an ICBM that was headed towards your country or something. But that also doesn't really jive because you can also do like subspace ICBMs where you don't actually have to go into space to just launch it into the sky and loop it around to your neighbors.
yeah,
So again, it was like the big space race, like we got to get there first and we got to get to the moon first and all that stuff. And so once that was over, and by the way, nearly bankrupt both of our countries
yeah,
because we were like just dumping so much money into it. It was just insane. Luckily for us, we pretended like it was justified because again, they always have to list things like, oh, what about that ballpoint pen? That was totally worth, $20 billion of research.
yeah,
So, it's like, yeah, that justifies it. Meanwhile, the poor Soviet Union, that may have been one of the things that helped accelerate their implosion. So again, that's a plus. I agree. That's a pro
Yeah.
for doing NASA, was to make the Soviet Union spin themselves into oblivion. And so otherwise they could have spent all that money on, like, ground, military hardware or something, and really be fucking us up. So
Oh yeah.
luckily they were just as dumb as we were. And so by the way, are you British? Just
Yeah.
okay, okay. So I'm just making sure I understand your perspective. So you definitely don't have a dog in the Cold War fight, as far as
No.
the U.S. versus the Soviets, doing NASA stuff.
No. I think
Did,
the US current or the UK currently really doesn't like Russia, but then again,
yeah,
I
but
think
they don't
most of
like
the world's
America
like that
either. You
currently.
guys don't like anybody. You don't even like yourselves. So get
Yeah,
it
the
together,
yeah,
UK.
that's definitely how the UK comes across.
But just to join the dumb wagon, didn't UK recently start their own space program?
Yes, the UK did recently start their own space program. I think it's with the help of Virgin. I think Virgin helped us fund.
Yeah,
Basically, they gave us one of their old 747s, and then the UK built some satellites and stuff, and they tried
yeah,
to
yeah.
launch it, and then it didn't work.
Have y'all gotten to the moon or anything yet, or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I
Who
think
has got the moon? Is it like India or China on the moon now or something? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I don't think any country,
Wait a minute.
according to Google, not no country has set a foot on the moon since the 1960s. Apparently.
Who looped the moon? Somebody looped the moon recently.
Oh yeah,
Who
I think
has?
that was India. I think.
It was either India or China. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that because, like I said, I was under the impression that other countries are playing catch up now for whatever retarded reason. Like, who
Yeah.
cares if you flew around the moon? We already flew around the moon and took the pictures for you. So why do you need to spend billions of dollars to say we did it too? It's
Yeah.
like oh my goodness. Does your country really have no other use of money than to just take pictures of the moon?
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's the
so
thing. The UK currently, as much as I think the government wants to, they can't really spend any money on like with Virgin and stuff and sending satellites and stuff
right.
into space because we've
Isn't
got our own
Virgin
issues to deal
going
with.
bankrupt now because of all this shenanigans they've been doing? I thought I
Well,
heard
the
that
thing
recently.
is, our country, we were doing fairly well after 2008 and the economic crash. And
Hmm.
then in 2014 or something, or I think it might have even been 2012, we elected in a conservative government. And I think conservatives are kind of like, conservatives are more, liberals kind of like more socialist, and Democrats more capitalist, I think. And
Uh.
basically, conservatives were reducing spending, cutting budgets on all the public sectors,
Hmm.
and they basically ruined the economy of our country.
It's hard to pinpoint politics because in America, for example, we have the similar, faux divide between the libs and the conservatives, which neither one of those words makes any sense. But
Yeah,
I know what you mean by that. And so generally, historically speaking, the right wing tend to be more conservative with the budget, not just, spin, spin, spin like the left wing did. And but
yeah,
but now they're just as bad, or if anything, they were just as bad all along. Like, it was all lies
yeah,
anyways, because the right wing were just as supportive as the left wing, and all this bullshit spending, like military industrial complexes, space, Star Wars, and NASA, and now
yeah,
SpaceX, and all this other stuff. So that's why there's no point in pretending like, oh, the Republicans are the good guys and the Democrats are the bad guys. They're all the government
yeah. They're
is
all
all
bad.
they're
We will
all
admit that.
in the same club. So that's my
Yeah,
point. That's my point. So see, I am the anti-government debater here, trying to say that no, we shouldn't be. First of all, spending taxpayer dollars on this. I mean, like, if you want to, incentivize, private companies like SpaceX, and see, this is how they get you. This is why this new layer of bullshit is working, because it sounds like the government's getting out of the space program, and they're just letting the private sector take over, which is a bunch of bullshit, because Elon's getting hoops and piles and piles of money from taxpayer stuff. And so
Yeah.
it's the same thing all over again, except now we're pretending like it's the private free market is doing this or whatever. And so I'm all for private development, and I'm not arguing against Elon spending his own money on SpaceX to develop his space program or whatever. More power to him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you shouldn't steal money from taxpayers to fund your little Star Trek role playing games or whatever, because I've got way more important things to do with money here on Earth than
Yeah.
black science men trying to convince me that Mars has some secret temple hidden underneath the surface that will reveal all the alien secrets to us, and then we can finally develop holodeck technology and replicators and end scarcity and cure poverty or whatever
Yeah.
whatever bullshit things that they're telling each other in their little D&D, sessions at night while they're in their mom's basement. Anyways, so uh, that's why, like I said, that I don't even see the debate. Like, I don't see how anyone could even remotely defend anything that NASA plus SpaceX, or whatever European version of NASA is. And but we already know why Russia did the stuff, and so again, I bet Russia had wished they had a time machine and they could go back and like kill their space program, be like,
Yeah.
"Don't do this. This will fuck our country up." So um, but now, like, now you got countries like India and China and other countries trying to do the exact same thing, as if they didn't learn the lesson from
Yeah.
the Americans and the Soviets. This will ruin your country. Don't do it. There is
Yeah.
no benefit to doing this. And so I love hearing pep talks, pep rally talks from like Black Science Man, and I can't think of any other like spokespersons for NASA, other than like maybe like a oh, who's that guy in the 70s? Who's that? Billions and billions of years. Was Carl Sagan? Carl Sagan,
Mm.
and maybe like other astrophysicists, like who's the other guy? Who's the Asian guy? Mit, Michik,
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Michikiyako or something. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
That dude. And so hold on, famous astrophysicist. Um, Let me just check real quick. Nope. I'm thinking of someone else completely different. Stephen Hawking. Maybe that's another good
Oh,
one
Stephen. Yeah.
to add to the list. And so I think that Japanese dude I'm thinking of is like a mathematician or something, probably, who I'm getting confused with. But he also kind of will like phone it in, for the pledge drives, like whenever Black Science Man is on one of his, grifting tours, where he's like trying to convince people that that Elon Musk is now the second coming, because he believes and he's going to get us to Mars, and that once we get to Mars, then all our human problems will finally be solved. And so but like I said,
Yeah.
he's just been shilling so much for NASA that it's just disgusting at this point. Like I said, I mean, I understand, like, obviously, if he's on the payroll or whatever, everyone knows why humans shill for their funding. So, obviously, if your paycheck depends on convincing the public that, to buy the bullshit, then obviously you're gonna shill for it. But the fact that people don't see this is what really infuriates me. And so that's what I'm
Mm.
saying is like, and here's Brown's boy. So the fact that people just keep drinking the Kool-Aid and just blind faith defending anyone like Black Science Man, or Bill Nye the Science Guy, or whoever, for whatever agenda they're promoting that day, that's the stuff that really grinds my gears. So So, anyways, I don't hear any strong arguments for why it was justified. Are you already having second thoughts, train guy, or were you hoping
Well,
to convince me that
no.
some technology was worth it or something like that?
Well, I think the thing is, even if you didn't spend on NASA, NASA gave us this stuff. I mean, I know we've already said, but if we didn't have NASA, we didn't invent it. And I mean, it does sound like, but we didn't do it. I mean, I do still believe NASA and space agencies are important. And I mean, funnily enough, the UK Space Agency, once we start getting stuff actually up into space, it's going to be generating revenue for the government because companies, telephone ones or whatever, are going to be paying for us to send satellites up there. So, yeah.
Um, are you familiar with Thunderfoot?
I don't think so.
I think you should definitely check him out. I've
Mhm.
recently caught some of his gems about. He's really going deep into Elon Musk, but he thoroughly covers SpaceX while he's doing that, and indirectly, he's actually pointing out all of the hypocrisy and scamming and stuff by NASA by pointing out all the stuff that SpaceX is currently doing. And so I will just present real quick in the background so you can see who I'm talking about. But he has a YouTube channel. It's pretty entertaining. He likes to do a lot of like debunking type stuff, and so that's his channel right there. It's called Thunderfoot.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know where he's from, or I think he's British or something. I can't remember, but or Australian or something. I don't know. And so he's got tons of videos about what a joke SpaceX is and stuff like that. And so I would check those out first. I mean, he does lots of debunking of various different research claims and stuff. So um, anyways, I'm not going to just play it while we're talking here, but I just showed you his channel so you can check it out in your free time or whatever. But especially the SpaceX ones, he goes into like great detail about how much money is being spent by who and for why and all that sort of stuff. And so that's why I brought him up. But Browse Boy, any thoughts or feelings yet, or did I already cover all this stuff?
What's up? Can you hear me?
Whoa, mic check there, buddy. Try again.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Good,
Yeah.
good try. Now do it.
Okay. Yeah. What was the question?
Um, I've pretty much already destroyed NASA. Train Guy gave it some effort, but I'm
Okay.
afraid he doesn't have much else to
Yeah.
back up. So I feel like I've already ended the debate before it started. Let
That's
me go
good.
ahead and steel man him real quick. So again, good things did come from NASA, and it felt sort of justified when we were scared of the commies, nuking us from space or whatever.
That's called coercion if it's done through fear.
It's called coercion, and what? I didn't hear the rest.
If something is enacted through fear, it's a lot of times it's coercion, especially if you're talking about governments.
That's true, but some fear is, rationally justified because again, we were getting to the point where we were threatening each other into,
Well,
nuclear
like
oblivion. So, like, if go
my
ahead.
argument would be like, you know, uh, if someone made this argument before, they said if we never went to space, like stupid
You're kind of
argument.
phasing in and out with your mic there, buddy.
My bad, my bad.
That's all right.
Maybe I have like a setting on or something.
Maybe. Like half your words are coming through pretty clear, and then it sounds like you kind of phase out for a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's not quite roboting. But go ahead.
Okay, is if I do this, does this work?
That's better.
Yeah. That's
Already
better.
better.
Okay, I'll just do that then.
Go ahead. Are you saying something?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's documentaries on how Elon Musk got to where he is. We already know that to get to high levels of government interaction, funding, things like what was it, hundreds of millions of dollars was given to Elon, and
he's still going bankrupt because it turns out going into space doesn't magically produce money. Is that what you're saying, Browns boy?
it's just more of a way of taking people's attention away from either what they could be doing to better themselves personally or their communities, vice versa, and it's a way to outsource trust.
Yeah.
Someone else will take care of some needs, and then if you actually look at Elon Musk's like upcoming and stuff, like it wasn't very, it's like it wasn't cut and clean and dry. You know, you just don't get to those levels being uh, a moral individual.
Yeah, so getting back to like the economics, which I was hoping somebody with like business sense was gonna jump on panel, but I'll go ahead and ruin it for you guys. So like I just pointed out, there's this like myth that people believe that if you somehow just get into space, all of a sudden money just starts rolling into your bank accounts and stuff. And so one of the bullshit things they try to sell you is things like, but there's
Or,
asteroids out there that can be mined and they have diamonds and gold on them. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard this shit, but
no, but I heard a long time ago there was this video game, and it was like, I don't know what it was called. It was for a computer, and like you could own land in this game, and some dude owned virtual land in the game, and then would like sell the rights of this virtual land to other players to mine it for like virtual minerals and shit. So like it kind of sounds similar.
oh, you mean sort of like someone like Dennis Hope who claimed to be selling land on the moon through the Lunar Embassy Commission, something like that, maybe.
No, I didn't know somebody tried to do that. Like this was an actual video game, but like people chose to pay this one guy like so much money for this. Like it's a game.
Yeah, that sounds like
go.
something
There you go, buddy.
stupid people would do.
So
or highly addicted video game people would do.
So Dennis Hope was the guy who claimed he owned the moon and sold, land to people on on Earth.
Yeah, let's read this. This is interesting.
There you go. Yeah. So there's the gist of it. He's the richest man on Earth. He says he's the richest man in the solar system because he owns most of it. so back in the 80s, he basically would sell, land deed titles to people of the moon property and telling them that you can own the moon. You can buy, acres of land on the moon. And so people actually gave him money for this, by the way. And so this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like people say, ha ha, this is funny. This is just obviously a meme and a joke. But what's any different than NASA or Elon Musk, who's trying to sell you real estate on Mars? If you just give him billions and billions of dollars, he'll reserve you a spot on his Mars colony that he owns because he owns Mars, and he's gonna totally divide it up into who owns which parcels.
Well, look at this. Look at this. Like last two sentences, maybe one. It says he remembered a tidbit from political science course he took in college. The 1967 United Nations Outer Space Treaty said no country could own the moon, but it says nothing about individuals.
Woo! Free land is free real estate. But anyways, yeah. So
And he
this is
would
what I'm
sell
talking
it though? Would he make money? Would people buy it?
Yes, people gave him money. Like he sold
Mm.
titles to
I
really
remember when people would sell like titles to stars. Like you could buy a star for like
sure because
or
no country
whatever.
can own the stars, but that doesn't stop individuals from owning stars. So, by the way, I own the Milky Way galaxy. So if you want to buy a planet from me, just send your check or money order to at I5YT.
Like why is it even in the United States and like you like
So there's obviously no shortage of dumb people. I think we've firmly established that. The problem is like the Neil Tyson crowds are the kinds of people that like watch like Big Bang Theory and think that they own logic and reason because butthurt atheism is like the most intellectual religion on
this
earth.
is the closest I've ever come to completely agreeing with you.
Yeah,
And
the
so that's why you get like the Bill Nye movements and the Richard Dawkins,
Bill Nye the liar
movement.
guy, yeah.
the
And
funny thing is, that genuinely is me. I'm the sort of person who does watch Neil deGrasse Tyson and his talks and things like that. I will admit that is me. That is fully me.
okay, so that's fine. Like I said,
I'm
we're open-minded here. We listen to all different perspectives and see why they believe these things and do they believe these things. So, have we
so
moved you slightly in the other
I
direction
look
yet?
Well, I definitely do see your points. I think before today, I was kind of, well, how can anyone not support it? But I think now it's kind of, I can see the points against it.
There you go. And I've just begun. Like I said, we can just completely take apart not only the full history of NASA and exactly where the money went and why, but my point was emphasizing like how we didn't even learn that lesson. Like I said, we're doing it all over again in the form of SpaceX, and this time everyone's drinking the Kool-Aid because it sounds like it's like private entrepreneurs, just good old-fashioned
oh
capitalism.
humanitarian philanthropic.
Yeah. Like, who am I to criticize Elon on how
Oh
he spends
yeah.
his money?
Oh,
As,
he's trying to really bring America autism for sure.
and so I don't have any problem with like being creative and like and let me give you. I'll steel man his position real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
If I worked for SpaceX and I was trying to justify why we're investing billions of dollars into all these rocket programs and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, I could say, as your vice president, Elon, I agree that the Starlink program is actually justified reasons why we're building rocket ships because it's cheaper
Okay.
for us to ship our own satellites into space than to pay NASA to do it for us. And so that makes perfect sense. I completely agree. That's how you sell the message to the board meeting. You're like, obviously we're
So
not retarded. We're here to make money, guys. So, this is how you make money.
right.
But then they just slip underneath the rug. Oh, by the way, we're
Well,
also
they
taking
ha-
government grants to get humans to
yeah.
Mars because reasons.
Well, because it got the stock market up. Like, yeah, it gained name popularity with Elon. Uh, you know,
So anyone who like seriously researches this stuff will know that there's something going on with it. This isn't just old-fashioned capitalism where, some guy's just trying to live his dream and do the best he can. It's all about. Remember how I'm always bitching about crony capitalism? This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is crony capitalism. This is when
for sure.
you use the front of a honest, capitalist privately owned business,
Right.
but behind closed doors, you're meeting with government officials and
Yeah, yeah,
NASA directors and
for
fil-
sure.
and filtering taxpayer money into your corporate bank accounts
100%.
and selling it through Neil deGrasse Tyson about, hey, don't you guys like science? We all like science. Isn't science
Yo,
cool? So
you know
let's
what's hilarious?
go to Mars.
Hilarious. Go ahead.
So that was my point. My point was that's how easy it is and how obvious it is, and yet no one sees or recognizes it, and so that's the part that bothers me. But yeah, I was like train guy a long time ago too. I used to look up to our science leaders and heroes and think that they were respectable people and stuff like that. And by the way, I love science. Like I have nothing against science. I'm not saying like science bad.
Well,
We should
science is
all.
pretty much everything, dude.
Yeah, well, it's a different genre, for different audiences. But that's why I brought up the Big Bang Theory. The audience targeted toward the Big Bang Theory are the Black Science Man memes and stuff. So, I mean, he literally appeared on one of their episodes. He was like
Yeah.
in the show saying, "Hey guys, remember me? People think the universe don't, but it does," and so um, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And this isn't just
And,
like a small group of people. This is like huge chunks of the population that think this way, and this is why they keep voting Democrat and saying like, oh, those Republicans are they're so anti-science. This is why you need to vote Democrat because we love science and we own science and logic and reason. So
Hmm.
yeah,
boo on
right.
those religious people. And so see, it's like.
Dude, they don't own anything. They don't.
Meanwhile, I'm like over here, foaming at the mouth because I'm so furious about how like everyone just blindly follows NASA right into the SpaceX, Kool-Aid drinking
Yo,
program, and
say
so
SpaceX 3 times.
say SpaceX what?
I think the dude is trying to have sex in space because it's called SpaceX.
Space sex, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what
Probably.
I'm gonna do.
I mean, maybe has a hard time impressing the ladies, so maybe like that's the new Bugatti flex. Instead of like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, he's like, I've got a rocket to Mars. Check out my giant rocket. So, anyways, I agree. It's a lot of like intellectual insecurity and stuff like that. He probably
You know what?
you can't really blame him though because listen to the way they talk about him like
No,
he's like going to save mankind or something
yeah,
like that.
I don't listen to any of that because it's not applicable in my life. Like, space.
Well, like I said, he can make it sound reasonable with like Starlink and Tesla and stuff like that, and make
Oh,
it sound like he's doing legit business.
he just chills, bro. These are at worst the fall guys for other people. Like,
But then he'll throw in SpaceX and like Hyperloop and solar
oh
tiled
yeah, this
roofs
is
and
what it
stuff.
is. This is what it is. So he was gonna make those trucks. I remember watching something in like 2017, 2018. He was going to make these trucks, and he was like, "They're going to be on the road by like 2020 or 2020 or 2022 or something." They're not out there, and it reminded me of how colleges will get grants to make like to work on certain projects that are just going to get shelved anyway.
Uh-huh.
So it's just like, yeah, the government or whatever spent your and our money where I was contemplating recently. I think someone smarter than me made me think, what is a vote? What vote has power? Like the one vote closest to you that has power is what you spend. That
Hmm.
is a form of thing you do every day versus once every 4 years, slapping a name on a thing, not even knowing and probably even knowing that it's probably fake and set up anyway. That's not a real vote. What you vote for is your money, and I think we're just letting them see or something,
Interesting.
where like, yeah, because like my money isn't America's money; it's
Yeah,
mine.
that's why I always separate, like public funds versus private funds. Those are completely different ball games, and so
Well,
uh,
they work hand in hand, though they don't work without each other.
Oh, okay. Legendary will be right back. He's got to send Kamala another 140K, as if the first one wasn't enough. But
No, dude, just send me half of that, bro.
or send me Elon's budget, and instead
Send me
of
half of that, bro, and I'll put up like 20 community gardens in my fucking city. That's what
But
I'll
yeah,
do.
Legendary, I was hoping you were going to enlighten us to like the economics of this discussion, because I don't think any of us on panel are qualified as you to discuss like how business works and stuff like that. And so I would
Yeah,
love to
what
hear
is money?
your take
What
on
do
it.
you
What's
mean
that?
how business works?
What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I don't know the economy. What's money? What does it mean?
The billions of dollars they're taking from taxpayers every time they give, SpaceX a grant or whatever from NASA or
Yeah,
what have
that's why Tesla stock shot up real high during that thing because of the injection of government funds for whatever.
Yeah,
That's why their stock, the stock, I don't know. It was a good avenue to spend money where the stock market would do better, and therefore people would feel happy. And oh, by the way, it's this guy. He's a savior.
you. Yeah.
He's not the enemy, but give him your money. Give him your money. Give him your money.
Or not
Everybody's
even
in debt, but this
not
is a
even
free country.
Yeah, not even give, Brown Boy. Take. Allow him to take your money, because you don't get to vote against this or veto it or anything. It just
Well,
comes straight out of your taxes. So
he has the cure. He
yeah.
has the remedy. Like it's what people think.
See, I support NASA, but I think taking taxpayer money and giving it to someone like Elon Musk is way too far.
that's
Like
like
that,
the worst form of economy. That's
it's
like the worst capitalism ever.
You know what
yeah,
it's like? It's like buying out competition.
It's like crony capitalists colluding with the government to enact socialism, because that's what socialism is when they steal money from the citizens and just use it to buy their own
And,
shit, like
and
rocket
you
ships or
and
whatever.
you almost seriously, you almost never hear of the real heroes. Like
Who's our real
if you
heroes?
believe like what's on TV and shit, like I'm scared. I'm not. I'll pray. I'm doing a small prayer for whoever right now believes what's on TV or.
Yeah, like how many lives has Elon saved, or how much, health and well-being has he improved on Earth, not Mars? And
Dude,
so,
some people are just useful idiots, dude.
for reals. So that's the part that really grinds my gears. And like I said, I have zero problem with him running his own business and running an internet business through Starlink and building his own rockets and saving tons of money by not using taxpayer dollars through NASA to send his satellites up into space. But the fact that no one cares that he is now just directly siphoning taxpayer money into his company, they don't see any problem with that. Like, how can
and
you
and,
not?
and he's not following through on literally his ideas.
And if at least he
But he
had
gets to go
a
on SNL and talk about Dogecoin. Come on, bro.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna make a whole special on Elon one day, by the way. But you're just scratching the tip of the iceberg
Well,
there,
I've
buddy.
seen
There
it.
is
I've
so
seen how he
much.
came up. He came up like off of PayPal. Like he kind of like weaseled his way in somehow on PayPal, and then when PayPal got sold, he got like part bought out or something. But like the reason on how he even got in there was real shady or something. And
I
then from there, I can't remember. But he just
I don't
looked like a liar. Um, and
I don't even know where to
I wouldn't
begin
give
on
this
the.
guy money on the street, let alone like
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know where to begin talking about like cryptocurrency and Elon.
that
He
looks like
may be like
Atlanta, by the
single-handedly
way.
destroying that market through Dogecoin, but that's a whole different topic. But anyways, I'm just talking about his current main grifts, like SpaceX and Hyperloop and all that other bullshit. And so, um, but again, he wouldn't even have SpaceX if it wasn't for NASA. That's what I'm getting at. Like his company would have gone under decades ago if it wasn't for NASA and Black Science Man. NASA plus Black Science Man is what's keeping SpaceX alive right now. This is why people keep buying this shit and sending him piles of cash,
He doesn't. He
or
doesn't.
taking piles of cash against our will. So
He doesn't. He's an order follower. He doesn't give orders, in my opinion. Just my opinion. He's just a useful idiot. That's truly what I think. I think he's a useful idiot.
he's more like a Pied
He's a
Piper.
world stage character who's getting false respect. Look at it. Look at all the other world stage characters that get false respect. People are giving them money through false respect because people don't have respect and apparently don't like being and apparently like being lied to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these are all people's individual decisions, I guess. Yeah, there's no doubt. You know.
So yeah, I guess Train Dude uh, headed out. So I thought we were going to get into it more, but I'm afraid I ended it too quickly because I just like spoiled the ending. Anyways, I could have dragged it out for an hour or two or whatever and made him feel like there is some sort of justification. But
as long as like something was learned, I think it's fine. Like,
yeah, I think he even said himself before he completely drank the Kool-Aid, but now he's going to question the Kool-Aid and see what ingredients they put in it
he's
and
gonna
see if
test the
maybe
temperature of the Kool-Aid.
yeah. And see what Black Science Man has to say about the Kool-Aid if he knows the nutritional ingredients to it or whatever. So legendary. If you still want to come up and give us your two thoughts on it, that would be cool too. Browns boy and I are just gonna stroke each other's cocks because
No.
we agree that this is all garbage, and NASA, SpaceX, Elon, the government, it's all the same
Mm.
steaming pile. So I
It's
can.
just, yeah, it's you know what it is? It's a very sophisticated carnival, like a carny. Like carnies, and you play the carnival games. Like, it's a
Uh-huh.
very sophisticated carnival is what it is. That's really all it is.
Uh-huh. So bread and circuses, is that what you're telling me? That the useful
Like, it's
idiots?
games. It's games. I mean, look, you can go on your phone, you can go on to the apps, and you can do Dogecoin, and these are all forms of games. They're games within games. They're gambling. They take your attention. Uh, you know, uh, yeah, there are just straight brainwashed people. I heard in 2020 during the pandemic that everyone was washing their hands, but I heard the most frequently washed item of the body was actually the brain.
And Train Dude is back. I guess he wanted to go round two. Welcome back,
As
Train
it
Dude.
as it turns out, I cannot trust the battery indicator on my old tablet thing.
Oh, the battery killed you. I thought you bailed because you were like feeling like you're getting piled on or something. So
I mean, I
was
was
like,
getting thrashed, but I'm not like that. I'm not like that.
I didn't think he
I,
was getting piled on.
I'm so glad you have such a good attitude about that. Usually, when you ruin people's worldviews, they get all pissy and stuff, and they're like, "Fuck you, you're retarded." So you're like, "No, I'm trying to help you out here." But I'm so glad you're being so reasonable and open and rational about it. So again, Trey Dude, I share your original sentiments that we wished it was a better thing. That NASA was like reaching for the stars and going to help humanity excel to the next level, and we're all going to be smarter and better people, and yada yada yada. And for that, I do blame Gene Roddenberry mostly, and a couple of others, but mostly the Star Trek fan base, and not so much Star Wars. Star Wars is fantasy, but Star Trek is that pseudo, science fact future prediction bullshit stuff, which makes people think that we're like on the verge of discovering this. Like Elon Musk is our, pioneer that's going to take us into the Star Trek world of, spaceships and replicators and stuff like that.
Bro, I went
I
and
don't
did.
know. Sorry, I
Go
don't
ahead.
know a single British person who likes Elon Musk.
Oh,
Not
really?
a single one. Well, because recently he's made some statements on Twitter. This is unrelated, but he's said on Twitter there's going to be a UK civil war. So currently everyone in the UK hates him. Like
Wow.
fully.
So here's the thing. He has your attention because, like, a president of the United States could make a tweet, right? Like, I think Donald Trump was, like, technically running parts of the world from Twitter at one point. So, like,
Oh,
but what
are
I,
we going to go
no,
conspiracy
no,
theory
no,
now?
no,
I
but
could
what,
do that.
no, all I'm saying is
Hold
just
on.
because someone says something or tweets something does not mean that you need to pay attention to it. In
Oh
fact,
no,
ignoring
yeah,
it would be a fine thing to do. But yeah.
I could do that. Hold on. Let's do.
Because like, who does that? Who owns media? Dude, media. I'll tell you who media is. It's basically Viacom and their associates. That's like all of media is Viacom and their associates. So they're only going to allow whatever vetted inform. Dude, the news anchors are the feds too.
yeah,
They want to
So
provoke. They want us to riot. But the people are no longer quiet. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Fuck SpaceX in
yeah.
real time. I have a customer who's 90 and very, very bright and sharp still. He started off in the army and became parts of communication during the North Korean War.
Oh,
And so he also then started working with NASA and communications. And he was telling me a couple days ago about Voyager. Voyager, nobody really talks about it too much anymore, but
yeah.
it was, but he was telling, because I even asked him, like, how do they propel? Like, how do you get, like, how does it keep going? Like, how do you propel? And he tried to say that
Hmm.
there's these, I can't remember the name, but there's these, I
Well,
don't know.
that's the thing. When you've got no force applied to an object, it doesn't stop. It keeps going at the exact same momentum it was.
So how do
So,
you change direction then?
see, that's difficult. Gravity, I think.
No,
I
there's no gravity in space. You can't change direction in space because there's nothing to actually accelerate off of. There's
right.
no oxygen. You can't burn something against space and to
Oh
change a
no.
direction. It won't work.
Oh yeah, no, I know. But I think honestly, I'm not sure. I don't. To be honest, I'm not going to say stuff because I don't really know. But I do know that you've got to have a spacecraft. You've got to have enough oxidizer and enough fuel to mix the two together to create combustion. Because otherwise, again, you've got nothing to kind of throw out the back to increase your momentum.
To get through space, they say that the equipment and everything has to be able to go through 4,000 degrees. And there's only 7 elements available that can withstand that much heat on the periodic table.
Mm.
And then you get into space and it's cold or whatever they say. So like, dude, I mean, like, what good does it do to believe people? Like, why just believe them? You know? Like, why just believe me?
Well, I mean, you do have some very valid points. It's the reason people believe others is because they know less than them, but they know enough. So they know enough to kind of be like, oh yeah, that seems like it should work, without knowing more. So it's a bit like in like primary school. You say, oh yes, something like two metals can make an alloy, and then it's like once you get to secondary school, or I think you call it high school or something, you're like, well, actually, that's not entirely how it works. You have to properly mold them and like pressure them and react them together. You can't just put them together. I think, basically, it's just people knowing enough about. It's people knowing enough to make it sound reasonable without knowing enough to be like, well, that shouldn't work.
It's
But
also, I agree. I think it's also partially people unwilling to acknowledge that they don't know,
yeah,
therefore defaulting and becoming a lemming, as they say.
yeah, I'll admit I am sometimes guilty of that. I try not to, but yeah, I do know what you mean.
It's world stage characters, man. It's not like I made a joke the other day that Hollywood, is probably looking for some actors because Washington D.C. gets all the real good ones.
Hmm.
Sorry, I popped out there. I live
Hmm.
in a third world country called the United States of America, and we have rolling brownouts and stuff. So, anyways, my my power just died on me, so I had to
Oh, that's fine.
reboot.
And I experience it all the time. I live in a very new estate, and they've just finished building houses opposite. So I know what you mean. They cut the cables to me all the time.
But I've got good news. I'm moving to Conservataria soon, and we're going to provide our own power for our off-grid bunkers. So stay tuned for that episode. But anyways,
Hey, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about I'm still on the grid, like in a typical American neighborhood, and
Right. Same here.
they killed my power. Like the power just died. That's why I got booted off of the panel. But anyways, my
Oh,
my whole house died. But anyways,
yeah.
so power's back on. Anyways, did we want to keep debunking SpaceX, or do we want to talk about Trump and Elon? Because I heard y'all bring that up earlier. What are y'all talking about now? I missed it the past couple of minutes.
I don't. They're world characters. Their hands are not clean. They are both untrustworthy individuals. And they seem to be colluding with the so-called system. So in my eyes, they're not worth speaking about.
Yeah.
Um, they're like, yeah, that's just my little.
Okay. I just didn't know if y'all were like getting into like the politics of why y'all think. Well, first of all, what does Elon have to do with Trump, and like why are they suddenly best friends or whatever? But I don't really trust any government people. I mean, obviously, Trump is slightly better than Biden or Kamala, whoever they're puppeting that day. But I still don't trust Elon or Trump. So when they get together, I start getting nervous. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? But
Dude, listen, you really anybody who works in Viacom, dude, you got to be like, there's a good chance they're compromised to at least a percentage of 25%, if not higher.
mhm.
And so yeah. I mean, my expectations are low. So these people don't really. They used to piss me off because of like arrogance and like whatever, but now um now it's just about like learning and application.
Also,
And
Rich D wants to talk about ammonia. So if you guys want
like, here,
to
check this out,
stop,
bro. Check this out. Like, I don't know how much money Trump has, but or like, you know, whatever, right? I did the math. So like, if you planted a tree, like say a city had 100,000 houses in this city for, I think, let's just say $200, you buy these bare root trees. at how many? There's 100,000 houses, right? Times 200 is what?
Big
It's
number.
fucking 2 million, right? So $2 million could put a fruit tree in 100 people's front yards. You know, like if I wanted to get like Nazi about the subject, I could say grass, could be outlawed. Like hunger is a real thing, dude. Hunger and that we're just not planning. We're just not planting food, and the ones who are planting food seem to be these world stage characters buying up the land. We got Bill Gates, the mosquito whisperer, buying land. We, growing.
Mosquito whisperer.
Mosquito.
The dude grows fake meat in labs. Like, yo,
Yeah.
there's some like no trustworthy actions in my 33 years of life or whatever that I have seen these guys. It doesn't take a genius to see the pattern, bro.
What is the pattern? Tell us.
Structure, systems, and beneficiaries. Or another way of thinking of it is the three field modalities of dielectricity, magnetism, and electricity.
Whoa. So, like, if we get to Mars, we'll finally discover the alien technology that will unlock humans' future potential. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Have you ever heard of Devon Island?
No, what's that? Devon Island?
Yeah, Devon. So Devon Island, like this was like, God, 15 years ago I found this. But Devon Island and the pictures that they send from Mars, the rover, have the same exact landscape. And they'll say that, oh, we're practicing on this landscape so that when we do get to space, like it'll work. No, dude, they're just sitting up on this
Are you about to
whatever.
go fake moon landing on us, Brownsville?
No,
Is that
I
what we're
it's
swear
the
to God, if you
rover.
go fake moon landing.
They're taking the rover. Like look up Devon Island, NASA,
all right.
and images. Now look at the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the second one.
Mm-hmm.
NASA's telling you it's Mars, and
Ruh-roh.
it is not Mars. It is a place on fucking Earth. And back this was way back when I used to mess with Google Earth. I actually looked at Devon Island and I saw NASA trucks parked there. Yo, bro, like they're not going to space, dog. You ain't going to Mars. You can't go to Mars, okay, brothers? You can't go to Mars.
Can you do the Mars one on the browser version of Google Earth? Can't remember. I haven't done that lately.
You can't go to Mars. You're in a closed system, my friend.
Oh man, there's no Mars option. Anyway, I have the Google Earth application that will let you look at the moon and Mars, but if the browser version apparently doesn't support it. I was gonna take us on a tour of Mars, but maybe
Yo,
not.
NASA took a picture of like a slice of pepperoni once and said it was like Venus.
Whoa.
See, as much as I want to disagree with you there, I'm friends with a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people that are very nerdy and sciencey, and are probably going to end up working with NASA or whatever someday. And that sounds like shit they would do. It really does. It sounds like shit some random scientist would do.
I would totally trust science if only robots were doing it, but as soon as humans get involved, that's where I get all skeptical. I'm like, y'all are gonna fuck this up for sure. So I don't trust
Oh,
anything
yeah.
you're doing.
Well, humans made the robots, so the humans would have then not fucked up by default.
See,
Why can't I zoom out? Zoom out. This is no fun. Well, here's a close up of Mars if you want to look at. So I'm
You ain't
still
going to Mars, dude.
I'm still of the opinion that it's not necessarily faked. It's just
yeah,
it's full of bullshit. So
Here's what I heard. I heard that NASA stole their symbols from an African tribe and then acted like it was some shit they just seen up in the sky. Like, yo, like not
because once you start going down conspiracy roads, as Train Guy
how,
pointed out earlier, you start
how is that a
becoming a flat
conspiracy?
earther and stuff, and so
How
that's where I'm
what
out.
do you mean conspiracy? Because a conspiracy is using taxpayer money to like
Is it a conspiracy when
the
they?
entire hierarchy is built off of a conspiracy. So I don't know which one you mean.
Is it a conspiracy when it's like public knowledge and we can see the budgets being posted that they
Yes,
openly are doing this
because
and no one stops them? It's
yes,
like,
because the people who are making like at NASA, okay, so my neighbor or this customer that I have, he's 90, worked for NASA, and he told me one time, he goes, I saw a highly illegal deal go on because he was called into a room with these two other guys and they were different parts of the military communications or whatever, and these two guys made some backdoor deal, and my customer assured me it was it was uh yeah it's dude it's fucking not good, none of
so,
it.
so is it a conspiracy when it takes 3 seconds of googling to publicly know exactly how much money is being dumped into his private accounts? And so I understand your point. You're saying like they're doing it kind of tongue in cheek, where like obviously anyone with a brain
It's
wouldn't
just
allow
the
this
good
to
old
happen.
boy system. It's the good old boy system.
Hmm.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah, but I do think it's funny that again this isn't secret stuff. It's just way out in the open, and again no one cares or is arguing against it or fighting it. They're just like yeah, that's fine. Everything's
Because
fine.
yeah.
because the world stage characters aren't telling you, they're not going to come out and just be like, "Hey, this is how I lied to get where I am." You know, respect
Mm,
me. They need to hide this. That dude. They've done internet sweeps. They've taken like the internet changed in like 2016, bro. Like, uh, I don't know. I was used to be much better at finding info, and now
See now,
there's
Browns boy, if you want to do conspiracies,
it's not a conspiracy.
no. Listen, if you want to, all you have to do is look at publicly well-known information and start looking up names that appear on lists.
Yeah,
And
but here's the thing: the name, the position, the system is there. Those people are vessels in that position temporarily. So the system remains. It doesn't matter who these people are because we're not fighting humans. We're they're not acting like human. They're not acting like mankind.
yeah,
They'll take everything from you while laughing.
yep. So that's why I get kind of passionate about this debate. Like I said, we could just go down this rabbit hole and find out all the neat little details about who and what and where until they cut
The
off my power
International
because I know too
Monetary Fund,
much.
the International Monetary Fund runs, uh, you know, they basically just invade countries that are not on the International Monetary Fund yet.
Hmm.
And the first thing they do is they go into a village, they build a fucking building, and they say it's just business.
Hmm. Why would they lie to you? They're
that you
just
drink,
from the government. They're here to help.
so that you could buy their product because you should trust them.
Of course, I trust the government. The government would never do anything wrong or bad to the citizens. They're here to help.
The government's like the best people on earth because they literally tell us they are.
Oh, if they tell us they're good, then that's good enough for me. I'm not going to check into that, see if it's true. Yeah, so yeah, we don't
So
like the
it's the
government around
public.
here.
I made a good point with the public education, or it was trained dude maybe, but yeah, like it's the public schooling system, dude. And think about like these teachers that we grew up with teaching, these lies,
You pledge
or
allegiance to your government.
agreed upon truth, aka lies. And think of some of them now, like that probably figured out a bunch of this stuff, and they were like, "Holy shit!" Like I basically indoctrinated like my entire school for 20 years, and they, come on, like it's a stress mental game as well for everybody. That's why everybody's on edge, and maybe that's why people are so ready to jump into groups, because groups make individuals feel powerful while taking away the actual power of the individual at the same time. It's fucking crazy.
There's definitely power in groups. I've noticed that collectives are real good at forming with humans and stuff. So, and then you have
Yeah.
a government, and the government is here to help. So the cycle continues. So that's why I'm always preaching, about the whole independence route and everything like that, and you know, personal responsibility and all that jazz. But nobody wants to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's the key though.
Yeah, totally.
That's the 100% key. Like like my idea with what 2 million to put, like that's, dude, $2 million is nothing to these people. But like I could raise 50 grand, and I could plant, that's what, four for every grand. I could plant 200 fruit trees. You know what I mean? It's like,
Hmm.
or like people in my area, like two of my best friends are permaculturists, and like they actually supply like some of these home, like what do you call that, like family businesses with like eggs and chicken and vegetables. Yeah, my one buddy's got like an acre of permaculture. My other one dude's got like permaculture in his backyard, and so creating a network, but like uh the system will push back. The system will push back if it's kind of like that thing with like drug dealers, where it's like they don't go after you until you start cutting into their profits or their goals.
I don't
Yeah.
think you can cut into the deep state's profits at this point. They
Well,
they run
yeah,
the global system,
yeah,
so there's
you can.
nothing that can overpower them at this point.
Well, like
Yeah.
the Sinaloa cart, like, so what is it called? Like criminal organizations at the highest level, they work with governments. It's not an accident. You know what I mean? That all these like drugs get over. Like there's not enough surveillance. Like we don't know what biosignatures are. Like we don't, bro. Like uh, it's collusion. He in on it, she in on it, and them and they and them are in on it too. They're in cahoots. Okay, I don't know what else to tell you. But
Tell
I
us the
think
truth.
I think yeah, like I don't know, just be a good person. And my ideas are, I'm gonna try to start linking. Like there's this one lady I know and this one dude I know who grows. They work with soil a lot, and they're really good at making soil and they also own or like operate 30 community gardens like in my area. So like I could like you know what I mean? Like my brain thinks like I could try to start linking with these people and like make whatever instead of just being like, oh, Elon Musk makes dick shaped rockets. What a great guy! Like that thought serves me nothing. Serves my community nothing.
Oh, by the way, train guy, I found some more technology that we can thank NASA for.
Oh, is it more baby food? Maybe it's a
No,
certain type of screw.
it is cars in space.
Bro, I saw that live. Did you see it live?
I saw it almost live. Like I think I watched it a couple of hours after the fact.
Bro, so like I don't even know if this video is even still out there, but when they went live with it, right? It was like 3, 2, 1, and then literally, there was a car and there was a whole bunch of lights. Like this car kind of looked like it was in like a circle, and then and inside of the circle there was a whole bunch of fucking lights that turned on, and then it looked like it was in space. Like I'm not even kidding you. Like legit, you like when it they do. I think they did that on purpose, even just to like piss off the people who know that it's fake. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
memeing on the memers.
I do. I watched
Memeception.
it, bro. I watched it. I wouldn't have even made that up. I couldn't have even thought that that's what I would have seen. A bunch of lights turned on. In a black. It was a black room with a red car. Then a bunch of lights turned on. And then like 2 seconds later, then it was in space.
Magic.
It's like it was just sitting there before in this room, but now it's in space. And then the first thing he says is, "Oh yeah, you could tell it looks so. You could tell it was real because it looks so fake, bro." It's like
Yeah.
it's they're mocking you while stealing from you. And yeah, like those types of things aren't beneficial for like anyone, in my opinion, let alone myself or yeah.
I think it.
Honestly, I think they're retarded.
I think it's
Truly,
a
I think they're
no.
retarded.
That's true. It's a no-win situation
Like,
because whether it's fake or real,
I'm not trying to put them down, but
either
like, I think
outcome
they
is
have
no.
actual Down syndrome.
Even if
But
it's fake, they're lying. If it's real, then they're admitting they're pissing away, taxpayer dollars for making memes and shit. And so that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
It's like, this there is no intelligent outcome to this discussion, which is again my point is like
Well,
who defends this shit? I don't know.
yeah. See, as much as I like to defend NASA and stuff, I don't want to defend SpaceX because it is just a way to give Elon Musk like, everyone like me now because I'm sciencey.
That's why I hooked you into the argument that there is an argument for NASA originally, even though it's a bad
Yeah,
argument. It's at least feasible to
do
explain
you guys
why we did it.
do you guys know how high one of their helium balloons can go?
Like
it's
right into
something
the
like
stratosphere or something.
it's some.
200 miles up.
Oh damn!
So
I think
they're
you, I
they're
think you can see the curvature just based on the balloon.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I did one of these with my back when I was in secondary school. I did one of these with my teacher. Me and a bunch of guys strapped a GoPro to one of these helium balloons, lifted it up, sent it up into space, and you can see the curvature of the Earth and
bro.
stuff,
You
and it's
just said
really
you
cool.
just said a GoPro. That's a fisheye lens. You can't see anything but a curve on a fisheye lens, homie.
No, but it's weird. We had a bunch of them set up, but to be honest, I'm still not really sure how it worked. But
Are all GoPros fisheye? I didn't know that. There's probably a lot of them
Well,
that are fisheye, but
I
I
know
think you can get.
NASA can't afford Nikon P1000 from Best Buy because that thing can see past curve.
But
So
even without a fisheye lens, I'm pretty sure balloons can reach high enough where you can see the curvature, even if it's not
Yeah.
in proper outer space. But it's just like at the
I know
edge
there
of
ain't
the
no curve.
stratosphere or whatever. But
Ain't no
so
curve.
that's the part that bugs me
Maybe.
when people start talking about like flat Earth and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, that's when you don't have to debate. That's
Yeah.
not a
The
hard topic. So. By the way, Browsboy, are you flat Earth? I never confirmed that or not. I didn't ask.
I'm a I don't know earther.
Oh no,
Yeah, because like
Browsboy.
Neil Chicken Wing Tyson, you know, uh, I even looked up his word, oblate spheroid. I looked it up in etymology, and it means that it means if you look up the etymology of uh, what was his word, oblate spheroid, it tells you it's not a fucking. It tells you it's like a disc, but
Have you ever
that's
been
his
on an
word.
airplane before?
Yeah, man, I've been on an airplane before,
Okay.
dude.
So, if
Yeah, and
you
I
want
also don't
proof,
go through. I also don't go through the body scanners because I'm not an idiot.
okay. If you want proof, just buy a plane ticket from like wherever you live, like New York or Los
Oh, and
Angeles
you're
or
gonna say
whatever.
follow the You're gonna say follow the sun.
No, I'm gonna say just buy a plane ticket from New York or Los Angeles to like Shanghai, China or something like that, and then
Why wouldn't
keep
I just
going.
follow the sun? And
And then keep going and then return back to Los Angeles and New York and tell me what you saw out the window. Because if at any point you crossed over the edge of the earth and you can, see
see,
the
nobody
underside of it,
see like
tell me all about it.
The flat Earth model does not. Um,
flat
there's a
earthers don't
few
have a
different ones
model.
out there, and of course, disinformation is part of it. But
So you think all the airplane companies are in the same conspiracy, the flat earth conspiracy, to make sure no one
well,
can
no,
look out
no,
the
no, no, I
window
don't.
while they're on the airplane?
I think that NASA owns the flight routes of
No,
all planes.
no, you're not listening to me. A
Oh god.
private charter. Hire your best friend who owns an airplane and can fly
Right.
it, and then just fly
Who is
across the
subject to the rules of what they're subject to.
right, and just fly around the equator. A full circle from you know start point to end point. Like I said, start from Los Angeles, and then go to like Shanghai, China, and then just keep going all the way back to Los Angeles again. Don't turn around. Just keep going in a straight line, around the equator, and so
The
look out the
equator isn't a
window.
straight line.
Look out the window, hold a camera in your hand while you're recording the window view, and tell me if you ever find the bottom half of the Earth, the other side of the flat Earth.
Like which
You know,
type? Like when should I do this, during aphelion or during perihelion?
just whenever you want the Nobel Prize for the flat Earth community, because they're waiting for proof about whether
Yeah.
whether
No,
or not
there.
it's.
No,
Oh,
dude.
Joe, what's
You
up?
can see past the curve with the camera, dog.
Yeah. That's why I told you the weather balloon. You can get a weather balloon like up into the stratosphere and
Yeah,
just
but
a
I can
regular.
stand on Earth with a camera and
Uh huh.
see that it is not curving.
It
Oh my
is, but
god.
it's so subtle that you can't
It's so
easily see
subtle.
it.
It's no, because there's a formula at 8 inches per mile squared. So every mile, there's 8 inches of curvature. That's what that means. So I should not be able to, if I'm 6 feet tall, 8 inches of curvature, what was it, 72 inches or something? Okay, let's just say I should not be able to see past 10 fucking miles
Hmm.
due to the math given to us by Neil deGrasse Tyson, by these world stage characters, uh, and Copernicus from 1514, and the Jesuit Catholic priest who created the Big Bang Theory called George Lemaitre, who worked with Einstein, by the way. Bro, like it's the good old boy system. Like I don't know how you want me to break it down. How like I don't believe it. Like
Here, I got proof for you, brother. Check it out. Flat Earth proved. See, Browns boy, you can't see the curvature of the Earth, so therefore it is definitely flat.
No, forget flat Earth. Hot dog Earth is the new thing.
Is it turtle shells holding up the hot dog, or what's the
Like
secret sauce?
how does the human
Actually-
eye work, guys?
It's magic. It's like magnets and shit, man. Nobody understands it.
Yeah,
Right.
the human eye is just like meh.
And so if I was let's say I wanted to control the world. Let's say I had made secret societies, let's say I had bloodlines, whatever the hell these conspiracy people all say. I mean, I would just pervert all your science and steal your money. And if we look
Word.
at what's going on around us, science is perverted and they're stealing all of our money. So who's that? I don't think I'm that far off, bro.
I think you're getting there. You're getting warmer.
I think you like being indoctrinated.
Who, me or train guy?
I think a lot of people like being lied to.
I hate it, man. It like rustles my jimmies and stuff.
That's what people say.
See,
Old Joe, I don't think anyone on panel actually believes in flat Earth. Brown's boy was just trolling for me.
oh yeah, no, I know.
I don't know what it is.
He says he doesn't know, Old
Okay.
Joe. So take
Do
him
you
on a
trust-
boat and prove
Do
it
you
to
trust
him.
NASA to tell you what the Earth is?
I never brought up
Yes.
NASA once in any of my proofs.
I'm just asking.
Brown's boy. Not once did I mention NASA.
I'm just
I
asking.
said your friend who owns an airplane or a
No,
boat.
yeah, I don't want to go through the whole example again. We already did that.
Let's do a boat, dude. You don't even need to own an airplane. Just get a boat and then go out into the ocean and start sailing towards Japan. And then when you get to Japan, keep going and go around the Horn of Africa and then loop back
Yeah,
to
none of your
United
suggestions seem applicable to me.
That's too much evidence, too much real world evidence.
No,
Too much
it's
work.
just like, I mean, I'm not trying
Too
to knock
much
your
work.
ideas.
There
I
it
just
is,
don't think
Train
that they're
Dude.
well thought out.
Thinking is hard, Train Dude. This is why flat earthers still have a community. Thinking is hard. But anyways, I always think it's hilarious.
What's the difference? What's the difference if it's a globe or it's like what? Like, what is the difference?
Difference is if you're an airplane pilot or an astronaut or some other job that requires flying around a
On world stage,
sphere-shaped Earth.
at the world stage level, where we already described 3 times that they lie.
Because like if I was Elon and I was trying to run like a Starlink business or something like that, and the flat Earth was correct, then my satellites would be all fucked up because they would be like crashing into the coin shaped Earth and stuff, and because you have to have like
Satellites
proper
are
rotation.
on balloons, bro.
Satellites on balloons.
You just told me that you could put it can go.
Camera
I know they can go up
and
200 miles, and I know that you could use a satellite on one of those.
there you go.
Am
Balloons
I wrong?
confirmed. Balloons confirmed.
It's actually
Starlink
closer
is
to
powered
Earth
by
than
balloons.
satellites are actually closer to Earth than you think, because you didn't do the research on how far they go up, and you didn't
You need
talk
to
to
educate yourself.
you didn't talk to a guy who worked with NASA for his entire career and is willing to explain that to me when I ask him those questions.
By the way, according to the Google robot, weather balloons can reach 90,000 to 125,000 feet on average, but some have gone as high as 130,000 feet in 2002.
Okay, so what is a weather balloon?
173,000 in 2002.
Okay, so weather balloons are a type of high altitude balloon that carry scientific payloads into the upper atmosphere. They ascend at a rate, blah, 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 and drift 125 miles. By the way, there's also a program for the retrieval of these, which there's a documentary on the guy who was part of these military operations to be of retrieval of these balloons, because you know how they just, dude, believe what you want, man. I think you're just trying to like test to see
I'm trying to indoctrinate you to drink the Kool-Aid for the Weather Balloon
like
Company
dude, like that ain't a
Corporation.
weather balloon, bro.
I'm trying to get you to drink the Kool-Aid
This is nothing.
of the Weather Balloon Deep State.
That is not a look, dude. The balloons at
That's not a
NASA,
weather balloon.
no,
What is a
bro. The
weather balloon?
balloons that NASA puts up are like fucking 25 times the size of that easily, and they have to use a crane. They have to use like a fire truck basically to release it.
So
It's
what
not a
you're saying
guy out
is
in a field with some helium he got from fucking the
so what you're
craft
saying is
store.
we need the government to spend billions of dollars
That
to
ain't no
confirm
nothing, dude. That ain't no nothing. That video.
instead of doing it for free yourself. we need the government to spend trillions of dollars to prove that,
Look up who owns all of the helium in the world.
okay. Is it the military industrial complex? Because if it is, I'm gonna poop my
NASA.
pants. NASA.
NASA owns 99% of all the helium companies in the entire world. I wonder why they need so much helium. I wonder why helium has so much free will against gravity.
I can just read it to you. I want to keep watching the balloon. I'll read it to you in the background. As of
Like
2023,
fisheye
the
lens.
United States has the largest helium reserves in the world. Are you looking for
mean-
private owners or?
Just to check, you do know why helium goes up, like helium balloons float and stuff. You do understand that, right?
Because it's lighter than the
Yeah.
air.
Right. Which
Than
means
the
it has more will to go through higher levels.
now.
I'm
See
not trying
there.
to anthropomorphize it, but I'm
Now
trying to
see
make
there,
that
Browns
comparison.
boy. Is that enough curvature for you, or do you need to go a little higher?
So if you're using a fisheye lens, there's a converter where you can convert the fish eye into non-fish eye, and then you would see flat.
But if we can get this high up and we can just go
Who
to the
cares how? Dude,
edge,
nigga, I'm high. Okay, like I get higher than some of these NASA balloons.
you're high as
Okay,
a kite. That's how you know all this stuff.
exactly. I could
So
probably get as high as a kite,
so
actually,
all you got to do is go to the edge of the Earth and then send up a weather balloon, and then
bro.
you can see the end of the Earth, and then you can watch it fall off the edge.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Bro,
It's
look up.
science.
Oh my god, you guys don't know anything.
You don't know.
We're noobs.
We're totally noobs. By the
Well,
way,
no,
thanks for carrying that
you
torch,
guys have
Browns
lived your
boy.
lives, and you guys have, got the research and done the research and all the things that you guys have wanted to like look at, and I have done the same. And
I do have a
our
fun question.
information
Go
isn't
ahead.
that different, but like I am, like I used to be a metal fabricator, right? So like I could cut metal with like CNC lasers. I could program the lasers. I could make
Dope.
blueprints. I could form the metal. I could to the tolerances, and I could, like, we used to fucking probably make a couple things for NASA, and so that's my like blueprinting, prototyping. That's my like background, and so I made a bunch of money like with that company doing that. And then I just, after like what, like 4 years or something, I just quit, started my own business, and uh, I've been just researching my ass off ever since. And yeah, I don't put I'm not big on belief. Not big on belief, dude. Like,
By the
not
way,
big.
I
When
got
it
one
comes,
more.
I like
Okay.
belief, but like not when it comes to money and like clearly
I believe in money.
psyoping.
I believe money's real.
You know what I mean? Like,
You need to believe in Dogecoin, Browns boy. Quit being such a
Yes.
doubter.
you guys are
Invest in
Believe.
fried.
Dogecoin.
You guys are fried.
Speaking of Elon, if you want to hit him on some big conspiracy theories, there's a good one for you, Browns boy. Research who fucked up the crypto market with Dogecoin single-handedly, and so you might be surprised at how small this world is. And again,
Well,
certain dudes with trillions of dollars to spend can easily sway these markets back and forth.
Yeah, like okay, so fuck Elon Musk. Let's talk Virtue Financial.
Virtue
The
Financial, what's that?
Virtue Financial runs the computers for the New York Stock Exchange. They're the ones that get the information first before New York even gets it.
Oh,
So that's called Virtue Financial. And then you have the SEC, and you have J.P. Morgan, and who's dude? I can't remember. Like, what's the one that stole from us in '08? God,
Morgan
okay,
Stanley,
Goldman
Goldman
Sachs,
Sachs. Yeah.
J.P. Chase, U.S. Bank. There's like four major banks, and what happens is when they get caught rigging the market in certain aspects, the SEC is there to to correct that. Well, how does the SEC correct it? They just ask them to pay fines. These
Don't
people
forget
these people have killed people through the manipulation of non-free markets. They should be
Lehman
in
Brothers was
jail.
the other one you
They
forgot.
should be, receiving electroshock therapy or something. But since they have a fuck ton of money, they just pay their way out the good old boy system way.
You
And
forgot Lehman Brothers.
that is who the International Monetary Fund works with. Those banks, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, a
By the way,
U.S. And all they
by
do
the
is
way,
they create derivatives and they
by the way,
create
Train Dude, did
false
you catch
markets.
the two big players he purposely skipped because he's part of the deep state?
I just
I
forgot.
did
There's too
not,
many
but
retards out there.
He forgot Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, which are both government institutions
That's
that were
okay. There
getting
you go.
involved with the real estate market.
And
Now, what's that about?
that was Goldman Sachs.
No, I
But
think that was Lehman Brothers. I don't know. I can't remember who was directly involved, um, but yeah. See, they always try to make it sound like it's the private institutions that are fucking up shit, when in fact it was the government all along. It was the government from the start.
that's why
And
we
by
should
the
all go
way,
yo,
communist.
who bailed out the crony capitalists? Do you remember that one, Brown Boy?
who bailed out the crony? Who are the crony capitalists?
Too big to fail. Do you remember that phrase? Too big to fail. Who bailed out? Who gave the crony capitalists golden parachutes? Was
The
it the
automobile industry.
taxpayer through taxes through the government? Was
Are you
that it?
talking
Was it?
about Are you talking about like GM and the big three that time?
I'm talking about the whole housing market crash, not just GM and stuff like that, but I'm talking about like the banks and stuff, when the government was bailing out the banks that
Right.
helped cause all this stuff.
There was an
The
emergency
government.
bill. There was an emergency 7,000-page bill
And
that they had
so,
to sign, and later on, they said that they were basically forced to like allow this to happen.
and this is the part where most of the listeners would
Probably through, by
assume,
the way, probably through blackmail. A lot of these politicians and
sure,
shit,
sure, sure, yeah, yeah.
these guys
They're
are
all in the
blackmailed as
same
fuck.
bed. But anyways, this is the part where the audience would probably presume we are currently talking about a Democrat government that was doing all these shenanigans. And so, Train
No,
Dude, to my earlier point, it's both the right wing and left wing politics, because it was George Bush that, in fact, bailed out these banks, the Republican in America
bro, they're not
that,
on different teams. They're
that
all related.
it's
Like fucking
all deep state
Obama.
uniparty.
Obama was like literally like Dick Cheney's like fucking third cousin or something.
So
You know
Yo,
what
there you
dude,
I say
go.
to that?
There you go, Train.
it's a family business and you ain't in it.
You know what
It's
I
a
say
deep
to all
state
of this?
business. And you scratch my back and I scratch yours.
Borgia. You guys
All
ever
right.
hear of the Borgia family?
Sounds
You need
bourgeois to me.
Borgia.
you need to realize this is a problem with capitalism. It's why we all need to go back to a communist government.
Exactly. We need more socialism to cure all of our financial woes. Just like
Yeah.
Venezuela. Get a clue, guys. Come on. They found socialism and now they're eating delicious pets.
Yeah.
Socialism cures everything,
I
including
actually have an
space
idea.
technology.
I have an idea.
What's your idea, Browns boy? Lay it on us.
All right. So, in my estimation, more are corrupt than the majority of the world stage leaders are corrupt, right? So,
Correct.
like, my idea is the same as like, because I hear people complain about like police and stuff, like, oh, should we defund them or like whatever. People have their stories, but there's cops have this thing called discretion where they could really just kind of make up their own mind, but which is what uh politicians do. So like my idea was like getting if you want to get rid of crooked cops, all you have to do is when you become a cop, you have to find two cops that are what do you call it? Like liars, or like they're not doing their job right, like they're racist or they're whatever. They're just not being like they're being like policy enforcing like asshole dicks or whatever. If you find two of those guys as a new recruit, then you get in. So at that rate, you get two bad ones out and potentially one good in at the same time. Two birds with one stone.
So sort of like internal affairs or something, or
No, like
I thought
external
they already
affairs.
had that system.
External affairs, really.
Oh, how about we privatize it and make them accountable for their actions, and if they do shady shit,
You
they
have to
get
take you have to
canned.
take qualified immunity away.
Yeah, you're not immune. The free market doesn't give a shit about your feelings or who you're
No, no,
related
no,
to.
because cops have
Right.
qualified immunity. It's this thing that
Yeah, you have to have a monopoly on violence in order to get away with that shit. So don't give the government a monopoly on violence. Problem solved.
well,
Privatize that shit.
the
Mm.
military, is the first in. Usually, it's everywhere. So, like highways or public funds, it's all military.
By the way, I never
Look
asked
at
Train
look at
Dude.
the Department of Defense's budget, bro.
Hold on, Bronze Boy. I never asked Train Dude. I just assumed. What's your view on politics in general? Are you like for big government, against it? Are you for
Um,
capitalism, against it?
I'm generally I vote Labour, so I basically vote to kind of nationalization of railways, things like that.
Yikes!
Gov-
Holy shit! So you're like
government,
need
but
more Venezuela in your UK is what
but
you're saying?
the reason I vote Labour and why all pretty much the entire country has is because the UK, we've already got nationalised healthcare services, and quite a
Do you know
lot
what
of our
national
services
means?
quite a lot of our services are already nationalised, and the thing is the Conservatives try to take away funding from those.
Right, but do
And
you
the
know
thing
what the
is,
word nationalize means? Like, do you know what that
yeah, it
means?
becomes government property.
Exactly. It's what the government just
And
seizes shit. It's like, oh,
as
here's your little mom and pop ice cream store. Now the government owns it.
yeah, but
You're like, what? When did
yeah,
that happen?
but the reason a lot of people are voting Labour for like
Uh,
nationalisation of stuff is because they've taken away all the funding from the NHS and stuff, and as a result, our healthcare system is becoming really bad. And basically, we've all been looking at the US, and we've been like, we don't want a healthcare system like the US. We want ours to stay free, and
you
we
don't
want
want
more
better
funding to go for
healthcare
it.
like the U.S.?
Well, the thing is, the UK healthcare isn't half bad.
Oh, it's shitty,
It's
dude. It's almost as
no.
bad as Canada's healthcare, and they're just like
Well, the thing
killing
is,
off their patients because
it
they're
is
not
it is
economically viable.
bad, but the thing is, we're all voting for Labour to make it less bad, so that they'll increase the funding and money going to it.
Do you think there's any business in the world that the government can do better than the private sector?
Yes,
Name one.
the UK railways.
Okay, so you don't think a privately owned railroad company would operate better, more efficiently, better prices to their customers, less
No,
environmental damage, less corruption, and all that stuff than a
no,
government?
it's with the UK. It's been a lot worse. We used to have nationalised rail. Nationalised rail. It was a really good service, ever so cheap, that sort of thing.
Cheap
As
to
soon
who?
as
Who was paying for it?
the taxpayers, or I say the taxpayers, it was. I say
So
the
wasn't
taxpayers are
cheap.
paying for it. The people who rode it paid for it. We did have to pay ticket fares and stuff, but it was a couple of pound per ticket fare. Now
Yeah.
it's like I live about an hour ride away from London, and it costs us about £60 to get there. Whereas,
So let's look at a small scale example, not railways. Let's just look at a bridge or something. So if I wanted to build a bridge over a river and I gave $1 million to the government or I gave $1 million to a private company, who do you think would build a better quality bridge and on time and with less corruption?
probably the private company. I'm going to be honest there.
Okay, so I want to see where the disconnect happens. Do you think it's the scale? Do you think if I had
Yeah,
to build 1,000 bridges, suddenly the private company would be like, "Oh shit, I forgot how to build bridges because you asked me to build
yeah.
1,000
Because
of them."
the thing is, the UK railways recently, it's become especially bad. Several of them have gone bust, raised ticket prices exponentially, and the government and people have basically said, "We've had enough of this. We want the railways to be back how they were."
Do y'all have any situations where you see on the news where like a train bridge collapsed and killed a bunch of people, including the people on the train and below the train, stuff like that?
No, we don't get that because the government still owns the tracks. They just don't run the
That's
trains.
the
The
only
private
time I've
companies
heard
run them.
of bridges collapsing and killing people is the government owned one. Do you think a privately owned bridge would the owner of the bridge would allow their bridge to collapse and kill people?
Eh, probably not. But I mean,
Do you know how much trouble a privately owned company would be in if they were responsible for the deaths of the passengers or the bystanders, like the people down below the bridge that were driving on a highway or something like that, or on a boat or whatever?
yeah, that's one of the worst things. The UK government is fucking horrible at holding people accountable to
Do
stuff.
you think the government ever is held accountable every time that happens? Like on like I said, just click on the news, and when you hear about another bridge collapsed and it killed a bunch of people, the government was responsible, but no one was fined or their hand slapped or anything. It was just like, oh well,
Hmm.
business as usual. But like I said, if Elon Musk privately owned, Tesla, and a Tesla bridge collapsed and killed people, do you think he would be in trouble or have to answer for that or get
Yeah,
sued into oblivion?
honestly, as much as I would like to say yes, he's so rich he could probably pay his way out of it. I'm
No, I
not gonna
bet
lie.
even with teams of government, not government, of corporate lawyers, like teams of them, like $1 billion of lawyers, um, there even a little small time community college lawyer would still easily win that court case because it's like, once the jury and judge sees that he was directly responsible, there's no way you can argue around it.
Yeah,
Like again, if you own the bridge, you can't say it's the government's fault or it was the wind's fault or whatever. It's like you own the bridge, so there's no
yeah,
way to argue around it. Now you can pay off people and get hush money and stuff like that. I understand where you're going with that. I'm just saying, like, there's no way you can get around it. Like you can't argue enough with enough lawyers to say, well, I'm technically I'm not responsible, because it's like, no, there
yeah,
there is no getting around that. But if you're the government, you don't even have to argue it in court because no one will even attempt to sue you in court because who would sue the government? That's just insane. Like
yeah,
no one's that dumb.
yeah. I think the thing
So there you
is,
go. There's socialism versus capitalism. I agree that they are two distinct outcomes, and there is no competition between the
yeah,
two.
the thing is, Labour, they're not insanely like, oh, the government should own everything. They just want some services which are heavily used and heavily underfunded
They
to
just
get
want
more
the
money.
transportation and the financial systems and the healthcare and your income tax and just tiny little things like that. Nothing important in your life, just little
Well,
details.
the thing is, if you look at the UK economy, the
Uh,
majority of the majority of our stuff is private sector stuff anyway.
how is the UK economy doing, by the way? I haven't checked in since Thatcher checked out, and so
It's
did you know that Thatcher created Hong Kong? There would be no Hong Kong today if it wasn't for Thatcher.
I know. I think Hong
Thatcher was
Kong.
so based. She taught a bunch of communists how to do free market capitalism, and
Yeah,
so they prospered under the Hong Kong system pretty
I tell
much
you what,
since inception.
it
But
is absolutely horrible watching what China's trying to do to Hong Kong right now.
trying, have you seen any protests lately?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Ever since the tanks rolled in and the soldiers showed up and people disappeared, I don't see them even slightly disagreeing with the government. they're
Yeah,
like, they're like, yep, all of the questionable people were sacked, so back to business as usual. So
yeah.
no problem here. Just like Tiananmen Square. Remember when all those students
Oh
kept
yeah.
complaining and the tanks rolled in, and then the students stopped complaining? So problem solved.
But the worst thing is the majority of people in China don't even know that happened.
Oh, well, they kind of know, but they're so brainwashed
Well,
they don't care.
yeah,
They salute glorious leader for all of his beneficial
yeah,
actions. But yeah, the Hong Kong people were scared shitless. Matter of fact, most of them bailed ship, jumped ship like rats. They're like, oh shit, here it goes, we're out of here. And so, and the ones that stayed disappeared. So, again, socialists know what they're doing. This isn't their first
yeah.
rodeo. So, do you think you need more of that in the UK? You think UK would be
Well,
better if we had more Mao and Stalin and Pol
well,
Pot?
that's the thing. The reason why the UK kind of works is because it's it's very socialist, but at the same time, it's not dictator. It's free elections. It's things like that.
When you vote Labor, do you feel like you're helping your country more
Oh yes,
because
100%.
okay, so
The
you
thing,
don't see the Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot connection. You feel like because it's British people that care about your feelings, and they fling around the word democracy a lot, that makes it
yeah.
better.
Well, the thing is, as as much as it's like socialism and stuff, the
What
Conservative Party really, really fucked up the country. And I know it's not because the thing is they were in Parliament for the past 14 years, and since then the GDP in terms of like global inflation and stuff, it has
are they real
severely fallen.
conservatives or like fake conservatives like
Real
America has?
ones.
Oh, okay.
Their literal party name is Conservatives.
So they're like Rothbardians and Ron Paulians that are trying
Yeah.
to eliminate the government and return freedom back to the people and private ownership and voluntary exchanges of goods and services, stuff like that. Is that what they were arguing for?
Because what they were basically trying to do is every single problem the government had, they were trying to put it and blame it on the private sector. Or they were trying to basically every problem the country had and the government had, they were trying to blame it on the actual people of the country rather than themselves.
Neat. So the reason why I try to like see if people can kind of like look at themselves in the mirror every once in a while is like every time I talk to a left winger, I noticed that they can't ever find anything wrong with it, even when it's blatantly obviously wrong. And so that's why I was wondering if there's any examples that you would consider convincing. Like I said, if Stalin took over UK or Mao took over UK, would you start to kind of worry then? You said dictators, but by the way, China is a democracy, a
Eh,
people's republic, and so
mm,
um, isn't that what you guys are doing in the UK? Don't you want a people's republic
do
of
you
democracy?
do you know what the CCP stands for?
The Chinese Communist Party.
Yes. And Xi Jinping has been in power for a long time, and as much as they say they have free elections, they don't.
Well,
It's like how
again, who
it's
are
like
you
how
to
North
say?
Korea, technically speaking, is a democracy, but they rig the votes so every single time.
Do you have free elections in the UK?
Oh yeah, yeah, we get free elections.
So, like, if I like, for example, let's say I was running UK and I said, good citizens, good news, we're starting this thing called democracy, and you get to choose who you vote for. So you can vote for Joseph Stalin or Mao Zedong. So vote
Well, that's the
often,
thing.
rock the vote. It's very important. And one's a conservative, by the way. Mao Zedong is super conservative. But
Hmm.
that labor guy, Stalin, ooh, scary. Don't vote for him. But actually, Stalin's all about democracy. So if you love democracy, vote for Stalin. But if you're a conservative and you like conservative values, vote for Mao. They're totally different.
Yeah, honestly, as much as I'd like to disagree, that's literally UK politics. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
And we pretty much had the same thing in America, by the way. It's worse in America because I think you had Boris Johnson recently. Do you remember him?
Yes, he's
Okay.
what?
So our Boris Johnson is called Donald Trump, and so we put on this kabuki theater in America where we entertain the retards into thinking their vote matters. And so we tell them if you vote for Trump, you care about conservative right wing values like capitalism and freedom and Jesus and stuff. But if you vote for Biden, you only care about democracy and nationalization and socialism and stuff like that, which is true, of course. But they don't even hide it anymore because again, they don't have to like brainwash the left wing because there's no brains to wash, and so
Yeah.
they'll vote Democrat till the day they die. They don't care if it's the corpse of a pedophile, a demented pedophile or whatever. I don't know if you've seen Weekend at Bernie's, that movie where they like walk the dead guy around for a while, even though he's already dead, and they keep pretending like he's still alive. So see, you can do that in America, and they'll still vote Democrat. They don't care if they're voting for the pedophile's corpse. They'll just keep voting anyway because yay democracy. And so, but the sad part is the people who are voting for Boris Johnson in America think that Trump's going to save them because he's all about right wing values and stuff. Even though he's been a Democrat all his life, and that doesn't matter. That he goes to all the Clinton Foundation fundraisers and stuff like that. Never mind the little details. That's not important.
Yeah, that's the thing. The UK, we're meant to have elections every 4 years. And within the last 4 years, we've had about 5 prime ministers, and we are meant to have 1. Because every Conservative prime minister kept quitting and giving all their problems to the next one. And everyone got so fed up they voted for the other party.
Wasn't there a lady that only lasted like a week or something? What was her name?
There was Theresa May.
Yeah, I think her.
There was Liz Truss. I know Rishi Sunak didn't last very long. He was only in Parliament for like about a year and a half, which actually was pretty much the longest out of any of them. But
that should tell you something about your government. They can't even like fake it anymore. At least our politicians pretend like they're making a difference. That's what I'm saying. See, Americans keep buying this bullshit because they keep thinking voting for Trump will make a difference, and they're like, "Oh, Trump will save us from these evil communists trying to take over our country." It's like he's exactly the same party that you're scared of. They're not any different. They just sell you different messages so you feel better.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you're at a diabetic convention and, Pepsi and Coke are trying to get you to vote for the favorite candidate, but it totally makes a difference if you vote for the Pepsi label versus the Coke label. But they're the exact same high fructose corn syrup that's killing you anyway, so it doesn't matter which one you vote for. It's just your feelings that you're engaging in. So anyways, so come on over to Conservataria. I'll tell you about the one true path to enlightenment. So, have you heard of Conservataria?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, I'll have to tell you about it sometime. It's great. So, it's all about Christian values that form a capitalist economy that is supported by a libertarian government. And so, if you can pull off those 3 magical things, you will arrive in the magic land called Conservataria. And so it will solve all human problems: politics, economy, medicine, culture, you name it. It'll do it all.
Yeah.
But I'll have to say that for another thread. This was our space debate thread, which I think you lost. Sorry, dude. You gave it your best. Yeah. And so
the thing is, it's nice to talk about things like that, because as much as you like to believe your opinion is always the best and most important one, I think it's very valuable to hear the other side.
Oh, definitely. That's what this channel is for. It's about testing your ideas to see if they're correct or true, and maybe even improving them. Like maybe you're only 50% right, but you're missing that other half to seal
Exactly.
the deal. And so I think you learned a lot today, and you're very intelligent and good
Oh,
feedback and
thank you. You
responsive.
too.
So more power to you. So like I said, come back and we'll talk about all the topics. We talk about
Oh, yeah.
philosophy and religion and finances and culture and politics and
Yeah.
science and all the fun stuff. So if you hear
Yeah.
something you like, jump up and give us your thoughts, and we'll
Yeah.
have a go at it. So
Yeah. I
it was a
think,
pleasure, dude.
yeah, it was a real pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, get back to catch me on my next Satisfactory when I'm,
Yeah.
building trains and stuff. We'll talk about that too. But anyways, you brought up a fun idea. I thought more people were going to jump in, but I think they were scared to come into the arena with me
Yeah.
because I like to chew people's heads off and spit them out. So
Yeah.
anyways, I can get pretty vicious. It depends on the topic, like
Oh, yeah.
morality and stuff like that. That stuff really boils my blood. So, by the way, do you have any religious views or opinions, or are you just
To
agnostic,
be honest,
atheist?
I don't really support any religion. It's kind of, I think,
Are you
honestly, I don't.
agnostic or atheist? Would you consider yourself?
Uh,
Agnostics
I
don't really have a strong opinion. Atheists are
yeah.
pretty sure there is no God, and therefore science is the highest power, et cetera, et
Honestly,
cetera.
I'm probably agnostic because it's like I don't believe in a god, but at the same time, I don't want to disprove other or say other people's opinions are wrong because they might not be wrong. You don't know.
There you go. Well, that is one of my topics. So, if you are interested in philosophy and the journey through science to religion, I'll be happy to bring that topic up.
Oh yeah,
just curious, do you think the universe is eternal or was it created?
I think the universe started with. Honestly, I don't really know. I think the universe kind of started with the Big Bang. It was created by the Big Bang,
Do you think
and
that Big Bang is a cycle or was it a one-off?
I reckon it's probably a cycle.
Okay, okay. So I just want to know where you're coming from. So the next time we talk, I'll be happy to share my thoughts with you and see what you think about them. So I'm a Christian, by the way, so you already know all the
Oh yeah,
standard answers I'm going to give, but I
oh yeah,
may
that's
surprise you
right.
because. Go
My
ahead.
entire family is pretty much just Christian. So
Okay, so you
yeah.
probably heard the whole creation thing, and
Oh
like
yeah.
in the beginning, 7 days later. So I might surprise you on because I went through my own agnostic atheist journey in life, and so I arrived back at Christianity. So you might want to hear how
Oh
that.
yeah.
So if you're interested, like I said, I occasionally get into those topics. So remind me next time you're on panel. Say, hey, before you mention, there is a logical and reasonable way to use science to eventually lead you in the right direction to deeper conversations, and so um, the non-physical is where it gets complicated. So,
Yeah.
do you believe non-physical things exist,
Yeah. I mean,
like math and logic and
yeah. I
ideas
believe
and
they
things,
exist.
abstraction? And so, once you understand that everything can't be explained scientifically, physically, then that's where you have to figure out a new tool. And so that's how I
Yeah.
got into religion and philosophy and all that stuff. So anyways, if you're up for it, I'll be happy to share my two cents with you. But I'll just mark you down as agnostic for now, and then we'll pick it up from there and see
Yeah.
what you're into. Um, so just remind me next time. Like I said, if you're interested in that topic, we'll get into that. Otherwise, if you just want to talk about politics and culture and Brits versus Americans, which one do you think's better, Brits or Americans?
Uh, honestly, they've both got their ups and downs.
So you don't
I'm
feel
not
the
gonna
need
lie.
to jump
I
ship
don't
to
think.
America anytime soon? You feel like Britain's still doing just fine and everything's okay?
No. I think honestly, as plus I'm like I think in my genetics I'm like 99% British or something. I've like my genetics have been in Britain a long time.
I'm a Euro mutt myself. I've got a lot of British and some Irish, German in me, but So we probably have similar roots, but I don't do the crumpets and tea anymore. So I've been
Oh man,
Americanized. So
you've lost the best sort of breakfast: crumpets
I,
and tea.
exactly.
Amazing.
But America used to be cool, but we're gonna make it great again. So we just gotta get rid of Trump and bring
Yeah,
Ron Paul back. So, anyways, we'll talk about politics too, if that's your cup of tea. So, but
yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up here because I think we're done with the
yeah.
space debate. And if you do have anything you forgot to mention, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot that there are good points for NASA, SpaceX, and here's the
Oh
things
yeah,
I forgot. Feel free to bring those up next time. But now you
yeah,
know how I feel about the the
yeah,
whole space program and Black Science Man and dank memes. Uh, Elon and Mars and Star Trek and all of the above. And by the way, I am a Star Trek fan. Voyager is my favorite series, but
yeah,
I love Star Trek. I don't like how it kind of like you know encourages the low IQ people to like be like, oh yeah, replicators will totally solve all of our political problems in the future because that's how humans work. But anyways,
yeah,
um, just because you can magically eliminate scarcity won't eliminate human greed and the desire for power and all this stuff like that.
yeah,
So sorry, Star Trek fans, that's not how real life works. But anyways, it's neat to pretend and just get away and fantasize about
yeah.
other planets. So that's why I like Voyager. They were so far from Earth that they started becoming smart again. So um, one day we might find intelligent life somewhere in the universe. We
Maybe
haven't found it
someday.
yet, so it's definitely not Earth. Maybe Mars has some hope.
Yeah,
We'll see. But,
yeah.
who knows? We'll keep our fingers crossed. Anyways,
Anyways, I
um,
will potentially catch you a bit later. I think it's like 10 o'clock, and I
yeah,
probably
yeah,
need to
yeah,
go to
yeah.
bed.
It's your bedtime. Ask me about conservatarian next time, and I'll tell you all about it. And then if you want to talk about religion, I can do that as well. But those are the main topics on this channel. There's lots of other panels for like drama and
Ooh,
angry
drama.
gender wars and stuff like that. I don't care about those topics anymore. But
Not
if you
really
want to talk
either.
about it, we can. All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah. Oh,
Catch you
thank
around,
you.
dude. I'm gonna head out now. So
Yeah.
later on.
Bye.